now at that high price. They can't all sell it and realize that price.
There will be a crack like after this cycle's over, like there is every cycle.
But there can't be an unlimited number of cycles because there's not an unlimited number of people on the planet.
I don't know what people have to do with anything.
Well, people
to like what happens is in teaching the only thing that can go wrong is that you somehow like develop an inappropriate relationship with your student. Like it doesn't make any and I would just never be tempted by it. I don't know.
Yeah, intelligence is, in my opinion, much more important than socialization. So it'll get you further than socialization. And you can actually work on your social skills, whereas like you can't really. You're born with certain amount of intelligence. You can't fix your intelligence. You can kind of fix it.
So what do you think about the idea of social intelligence? Like the idea that you have a social IQ? Just like the same impute.me, and the website is not because the thing is it refers to the whole institution of healthcare. So you can always say that if my score is not accurate, you can always say, for example, that my score is not accurately measured to be 30th percentile by going and criticizing the MD PhD whose paper is cited to compute that 30th percentile. Now, they do rigorous science in the National Institute of Health, but the National Institute of Health is not like rocket science, you know what I mean? It's like not literally rocket science, so they're going to be imprecise.
I mean, for me, socialization is more about culture than it is about actual DNA or genes or your genetics or your ability to so if you can find someone who is similar to you and your cultural beliefs or
no fair enough I'm not trying to poke you in a stupid way. I just don't
I think, there's emotional intelligence,
doesn't prove that that's the future. The fact that
what is it? There's IQ and EQ, right? But I've yet to hear about
numerator and not a denominator.
SQ.
The denominator is the dollar.
Adrian, just want to welcome you as well, and Dolan, good to see you. Sorry, go ahead, please.
Have you tried to work on your social intelligence? And what does that entail?
Meditation.
I'd say if you're a relative comfort with your own being, socializing becomes super easy. And so really a relationship with our friends, our lovers, our employees, employers, neighbors, all of that is downstream from a relationship with our own person. And if we work using what sometimes referred to as meditation, but we have a slightly different approach to it. We call it dhyanam. And there's nothing wrong about all of us having our own practice. That's wonderful. And the more and more you kind of go into that, I think it becomes super easy to additionally socialize. So yeah. It's age.
Yeah.
Discussing a book?
It's easier to be socially on cue with someone if you share like some common interests or whatever. Then you can bond over that common interest. And it's like it doesn't matter if you're socially awkward if you're like sharing something that you both enjoy.
Right. Absolutely.
But if you could go into like meditation and the concept of self, I mean, even if you don't have something common to bond over and it's the total antithesis of who you are or what your interests are in, if you have a confident concept of self, you actually realize that those opposite, non-common bonding things is like the cornucopia. So I don't, Dole and I agree with you. It's easier to bond with somebody if you have common interests. For example, the concept of meditation. If you're both interested in meditation, it just opens up all possibilities to being interesting, is what I'm saying.
And there's no part of that I disagree with. And personally, I'd submit that just to reset the room as well, Tejas, we're just kicking this off here. The capacity of human beings to socialize eloquently, and perhaps the role of Dhyanam as a force multiplier, because at the end of the day, it's a skill set. And there's no part of what you said that I disagree with, AJ. And if there's a commonality, that's fantastic. But the capacity to accept another human being, to listen more keenly, and to kind of partake in that process in some meaningful way is all about, being centered. And that's the Dhyanam project. So it helps if you both like cricket, but one of you likes baseball, the other likes cricket. If one is centered, then one would actually find the interest to go and hang out with them in a baseball game and try to learn the game, and then you'll make friends out of that. You perfect random stranger now is your best buddy, and so on and so forth. All of that happened because you managed to befriend this person with whom you never had anything in common in the first place. So capacity to build more relationships, socialize, and all of that. Now you have a key to that, and then you open up the window, and then you go further. And in my experience, Dhyanam has been so central to that, because it's easy for me to get lost in my own music. And when we are connected with who we are deep down, you begin to listen to somebody else's music. And that's opened up beautiful opportunities and experiences in my case.
Dolan, do you think that common or shared interests are really shared interests in words?
No, I mean they can be shared interests in just like subjects, so that can be displayed through action, be displayed through more than just words. I mean, usually like sales, like when you go in for an interview or whatever, I don't know how relevant this is. They say it's much, much less of what you actually say and a lot more of what your body language is and what your energy field is. So, what you look like and is very important.
Well, I mean, if you're saying like an aura in terms of like a job interview and them being attracted to you and they want you to join their team, I mean, it's a composition of subject matter expertise, personal hygiene, how you smell, how you look, what you say. How do you create that attraction with someone? It's a composite of effect. It's multi-layered. So there's many veils to creating attraction and wanting an employer or a team that wants you to join their team because they feel that you're going to bring that +1 +2 effect and hopefully not take away and bring negativity to that team psychology. Even here on Clubhouse, there is a group think happening, and there is a collective consciousness happening on this app. That might be the future of education, because if you think there's a real ROI on what taxpayers are putting into the system, it's just not there. It's essentially a housing institution, a housing organization, and an administrative wage or a salary or a job industrial complex, but very little education or real, it's mostly indoctrination into, I don't know, it's so hard to know, like cultural Marxist or historical revisionism, I suppose. That's primarily what's happening, in my opinion. Very little math, science, physics, chemistry, biology.
Yeah, the key is how you make others feel about themselves and whether or not you're going to be accepted.
Yeah, but again, it goes back to what we said earlier, that if you are aware of the self, your relationships with coworkers, with family members, with lovers, with clown house netizens, it's downstream. So the truth is, the more you speak, the more you think, the further from the truth you're going to get. Stop thinking, end your problems. That'll help alleviate a lot of anxiety with regards to relationships, I think. That's what I read in Taoistic Zen philosophy.
Hey, Laurel.
Hi, Plural. Hey, everybody.
What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
That's good to know. All well, all well.
Yo, Plural, are you as psyched as I'm loving Trump Day 8 or Trump Day 9, whatever day we're on. I guess it's 8, but I'm loving it. I feel like all that fighting on Clubhouse, we fought with so many people we never needed to fight with about Trump versus Biden or Trump versus Kamala, and I'm glad our side won.
But I want to take a step back to what Adrian was saying. I think it's such an important point because, you can't possibly build a relationship with anybody if you don't have a reasonable line of sight into who you are. And what that gets is clarity. And once you have clarity, you could easily make the best out of most circumstances that you even assuming they impose upon you. And the whole point of breath control and capacity to reflect and sit still and, for hours on an end, then it becomes a habit because you find yourselves testing your capacity to be still when you're driving, when you're interfacing with a colleague and, meetings and whatnot, you're competing out there in a competitive world. Capacity to evaluate just how still we are all the time, that becomes almost like a project. And, in that process, you just end up building really beautiful relationships. And then now you're powered by the imagination of the collective. And there's no downside to that. And I guess that's what you'd refer to, the world would refer to as leadership skills, sociability, emotional quotient. We can use all kinds of words and we should, to describe that phenomenon, but we're quintessentially describing the same thing. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm also working, so I'm multitasking at the moment. Well, what's going on? How have you been? What's new?
Good, man. Good. I'm thinking about going to DC tomorrow. I'm friends with some of the RFK guys who are with his campaign. And so they're arranging people to come for the congressional hearing.
Nice.
It starts tomorrow. It's open to the public, but they're getting a good gang of RFK supporters to meet up early.
Nice.
And go in. Yeah, so just thinking of driving to DC in the morning. return to DC. This time I think I'll
Hey guys,
maybe wear scrubs and a lab coat.
Mo, have you ever watched the articles from what Elon Musk said about DeepSeek? They are using much more chips than they officially announced.
I haven't heard what he said. I heard Vinny Costa's son say that, but most of the other people are saying that it's real. So
Elon Musk are given the some of the people saying that DeepSeek is actually using much more chips than they actually officially announced. So Elon Musk, it seems not much concerned about it.
yeah, if that was true, Nvidia wouldn't have been down 17% yesterday. Okay, so I mean, if that's true, it'll bounce completely back as the news comes out. It's possible.
Yeah, for sure.
It's definitely possible, but it's just their version 1 was trained on they had like 10,000 A100s. Okay, so the people keep wanting to, but they clearly said they didn't use those on the third one, and they used the H800 clusters, which are the older chips. They come out open source and show the methodology of how they get to work faster. So
yeah, ever since yesterday, we all talk about the DeepSeek, and I was kind of doing some research, and yeah, I personally does not believe what the chief science people says, even the government or the individuals or the companies, because they always rise. So and so yeah, that's my conclusion.
Morel, what do you think about this HPV vaccine, as well as other, vaccines that are marketed as being sort of, I guess, less like the communication is different, but is the cocktail the same? And the whole Bill Gates and PR campaign against RFK. I mean, it's all connected. So I'm just wondering, like, what if he gets in there, what is going to be I guess, the effect on pharmaceutical corporations, primarily the major distributors of, vaccines?
yeah, I think they'll have to prove for their safety, and they'll have higher bars to do that. So the more dangerous the vaccines will have trouble. I think the farm industry in general is going to crash because they'll be, Make America Healthy is like about holistic, taking less medicine. It's not about just treating everybody, letting everyone just be overweight, suck up all the goddamn Wegovy and Ozempic.
I heard somebody say there's 5 people in their family and they're on 54 medications. I was like, so everybody's on 10 medications? I'm like, or is somebody on 20? Like, how much is too much? Eventually, when do you get exhausted every morning or afternoon? Or, I mean, my uncle was taking, 20 vitamins a day, 20 vitamins. And he was like all into it. Like he was his own chemist or something. And I'm like, and he died prematurely from, various ailments. And I would say that his consumption of 30 vitamins and minerals a day was excessive, and it could have played into some of his complications.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, RFK's the man. He's much smarter than most doctors, and that hurts the feelings of the doctor class. They'll have difficulty getting behind this.
It's kind of funny how a lawyer can read himself into the medical, complex and be proficient and become a subject matter expert, because when you really do have that interest, you realize that a lot of it is just words competing against words, and you can detect when people are making, excessive comments, and they become, fabrications and lies. So, Jeremy, you think the Chinese are fabricating their numbers?
Yeah, I think so.
They seem to do that quite a bit. Like annually, there's an American headline about some major Chinese technological, biological breakthrough, and it ends up being fake news.
Yeah, a lot of fake news yeah released like these days. I don't understand like what's the point of it though. Like like sooner or later they will, the truth will reveal, right? And I don't know. To me, like they're kind of edge on the edge from the cliff. So that's what they're doing. Is because like what the Trump is trying to do is to removing the Chinese market from the this world trade. So and the economy in China is like extremely bad right now. If you guys have a source, actually.
Yeah, but that's like saying Nvidia is crashing. It still has a $2.9 trillion market cap. I mean, I think you have to compare apples to apples, and look at essentially the averages in, major industrialized countries and compare that to China and say, you know what, they're not doing that bad. There may be 300 million people living in poverty, but still, there's 400 million people living in the middle class, or even more. I don't know what the actual statistical breakdown is of their population with regards to, the classes, but I mean, for the most part, I mean, China's like doing phenomenal. Isn't that true?
Mm, you kind of have to like there's like a trap in the statistics, and like for the GDP wise, you cannot really tell like if the country is doing well or not just by looking at the numbers of the overall numbers. But like recently, China has been kind of making the 5% growth by GDP by producing a lot. And production is one of the factors that includes overall GDP. So that's what they have been doing. But like yeah, like they're actually killing themselves by doing this because like the price goes down, like, and even there's massive production, nobody is really willing to buy them. What's the point? They're just making lots of waste. Or like they're actually killing lots of industries from the other countries to like Korea. Like they have been massively making this steel that all the other countries like Japan, Korea, steel industry has been struggling recently.
Who are the primary purchasers of steel? Auto manufacturers, skyscraper manufacturing, or skyscrapers,
Shipbuildings.
shipbuilding. Yeah,
Shipbuildings and constructions.
Mm-hmm. Well, if the Federal Reserve keeps printing and the Chinese central banks keep printing, I mean, they can just keep growing the economy, like you said, at 5%, but they're killing themselves. I mean, I'm just wondering if there's going to be like I get the feeling we're just going to keep this dance going. It's not going to slow down, or the oil's not going to get taken out. Um, I don't know. I just think it's like it could be really true that there is going to be this golden age of great growth and stability and peace, and there will be no more, shenanigans. But chances are, the evil in the system, those shenanigans are going to keep popping out like zits, and there will be conflicts and turmoil or natural disasters to contend with. The natural disaster aspect is always like the most surprising when there's a massive earthquake or some other type of natural disaster that wipes out, millions of people. I mean, and destroys major swaths of the economy. Those things just happen to appear like zits on the face of the earth, and you can't rationalize those or blame that on human error or malice or immoral behavior.
But like for the natural disaster, I don't think it's just about the like global warming or like impacts, but like a lot of times like it's like wrong this direction of the making policies in your country. I think most of the time, like if you guys have heard about it, but like there's a huge deduction in the assets for fire department in LA, and the major was kind of playing for that, and I think I don't know understand like, but like somehow like you guys kind of building the housings with wood, especially especially the deserted area like California. It's a kind of bad idea. Or the places like very vulnerable from the typhoon, like Florida or like Louisiana, somewhere like that. Is I mean like yeah, you guys should have built concrete buildings than just using the wood.
Well, look at Turkey. You know, when Turkey had their earthquakes, those 10-story apartment buildings pancaked. And so I think in the 60s or the 40s or the 20s, they built with what they had, but they built also knowing that the earthquakes would cause significant damage to maybe a concrete steel structure. So I'm just saying it's not like they didn't, you know, fully take in and do a full assessment. I mean, I think they did what they, had to do at the time, but it's also the geography in which they're building. It makes it very difficult. You know, they're building on all these slopes that they have flattened out over time. So I'm just, yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and I don't know much about really building and what can stand earthquakes and whatnot, but anyways, this is what's going up on Clubhouse.
Yeah, like it is more expensive like to build a concrete housing, but like look at Japan, like they are like experiencing like a multiple nature disaster in every field. Like they are experiencing typhoon, like a very big ones in the summer, and like randomly they will experience an earthquake, like a high level magnitude, and like look at their buildings, and they're very stabilized, like not much damage to compared to like a wooden house or you know. Yeah, I think like just building a concrete house is better. I think it would not be like much difference from like wood when it comes to cost as well. I don't know. We have to look it up.
Yeah, I mean, 1920s versus 2020s, I'd say there's probably pricing differences because of the amount of wood available, etc. But those tsunamis, those tsunami videos will go down in history as being some of the most insane videos of all time. Because
yeah,
I mean,
you mean like Louisiana, Katrina, or
no, the Japanese tsunami videos.
Oh yeah, that was crazy. Yeah.
The ferocity and the scale of it, and also the video footage itself is really remarkable.
Yeah, we complain a lot about hurricanes, or the other word for them, or whatever words people have various words for what hurricanes are. We complain a lot about them in the southeast. I grew up in South Carolina near the coast, and they are real. But I think statistically, the most like if you just look at a map of where these things, which are called hurricanes in some parts of the world, tsunamis and others, like these cyclones, just if you look on a map, I think they just occur with most intensity in Northeast Asia. I think that's just now with people are saying that with climate change, it's been different in recent years for us, and we also experience extreme weather. But they say that, but historically, those things have always been in Japan, like really bad ones. Like they were always mild relative to what Japan had, down here in the southeast.
Well, it's the population density, but I don't mean tsunami, but what is it called when the tectonic plate shifts and there's a massive earthquake?
Earthquake or what?
Well, the earthquake causes the amount of water to rush in because the plate rises.
Oh, it's like an earthquake caused. Oh, you're talking about something different. Then you're talking about some other natural disaster.
That's a tsunami, isn't it?
Is that a tsunami or a typhoon?
A tsunami
generally gets triggered by earthquake.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay, I guess I need to look at my definitions.
Yeah, there was like a nuclear leak
This
as
is
well
the
at the same time
meditation,
because of the
Rabbi
earthquake and the
Allen.
tsunami wiped the entire people out, and yeah, it was chaotic there.
Yeah, I mean, if Trump turns this really into like an energy economy, and they set up oil platforms in Hermosa Beach, Redondo Beach, Santa Barbara, and literally cover the whole oceanfront of California.
Nice.
I mean, that could be trillions of dollars in oil production.
Sure.
But let alone just the state itself. It is the biggest state you could possibly imagine, and there's so much energy
You
sitting
found
in
a
it.
way to de-radicalize California. Congratulations, Adrian. You deserve a pat on the head. We need to de-radicalize the state. We need to cut all the liberals out of there. And that's
Well,
the way to
look
do
at
it.
Alaska.
Make it an oil state.
If you wanted to de-radicalize and not use the military, you could bribe everybody and say, guess what, everybody? You're going to be beneficiaries in this new oil trust, and you guys are all anticipated to get $15,000 checks cut each year. The population could be bribed.
Well, that's fair enough. Yeah, Alaska is a less
Imagine setting up.
Too many people.
Well, imagine getting rid of all the illegals, setting up a trust, and issuing a minimum basic income from the trust. Everybody gets, 20% divvied up, and it's anticipated to be $1,500 a month. I think you'd have a lot of people voting yes to that. I mean, if we're going to regime change countries and take over the oil industry, I mean, let's regime change our own communist states first and issue, the proceeds back to the population. I mean, that's really what countries are supposed to do for their population. I mean, supposedly that's what Iran did when they got rid of the Shah, supposedly. But instead, they utilized a religious theocracy of extremism to do it. I'm just saying we don't need to use religious extremism to do it. We can use science and technology and industry to do it.
Yeah, Iran is people always talk about Iran as if it's it's a retarded country. I honestly, when I talk to people from it, like sometimes people will come up to like from Discords will say, "Oh, I'm trying to get out of Iran. Iran is like North Korea. Please help us get out of Iran. I need to pass an English test." And they're like, "Oh, I got 105 on the Duolingo English test, and I need to get out of Iran. Can you help me get from 105 to 110?" And then I talk to them, and all they want to talk about is politics. They don't want to practice their English, and they want to. Basically, you can tell that they're just spying for their fucking mullahs, and they're trying to get they're doing it with. It's like an approved. It's like a fake call, right? And I get it that it's a fake call, and I get that they're not as dumb as people think they are, but they're pretty dumb.
Yeah, I would say apps like this, in terms of like creating a greater collective consciousness across the planet, through communication and raising IQ, EQ. This would probably.
So let me explain to you why the Iranian why they'll try to get me through Discord. So in Discord, the kid will be like, "Oh, I'm 19 years old and I'm on Discord," but you know that Discord is owned by the Chinese. They keep saying, "Oh yeah, Discord is owned by Tencent," and Tencent. So they said that basically they try to reassure themselves that what they're doing is like technologically safe. So and they just have some religious belief that because Tencent owns Discord and they're talking to me on Tencent on Discord, that somehow it's actually that I'm the one in danger. That not him he's the one leaking information about his country to me, and I'm like telling me all this random stuff you shouldn't be telling me. And like, it's like not generally known about the country. For example, we were talking about expelling Afghans. They have a huge population of refugees from Afghanistan, and the public, the press says that Iran has expelled them, just like Pakistan expelled its Afghan refugees and sent them back up the fucking mountains. But the thing is, the Iranian kid told me no, they can't actually do it in practice. They can't actually send the fucking Afghans back. So like that's not even generally known.
Do you have your real name displayed on there?
No, I just put Andrew B. But actually, on that Discord, I do what is called. Have you heard of Balaji Subramanian? So Balaji Subramaniam has some idea called the pseudonymous economy. So basically, you should be mostly anonymous, but if you're purely anonymous, people just don't trust you at all. So you sometimes have to leak your details, but in a way that's like discreet, that somebody has to like literally like put some effort in. It's actually it depends also on how.
You're saying that these are a lot of intel guys.
No, I didn't say this is an intel guy. This is a 19-year-old kid who's trying to learn English.
You said they're an operative. You said some of the Iranians are operatives.
No, dude, like, he obviously could easily be an operative, but he's pretending to be a kid, so I can't treat him like an operative unless he, like blows his cover or something, you know?
I don't know what they'll ever release about that little rat bastard Michael Crooks, and who he was chatting with on his cell phone prior to the attack, if he was like in a Discord group or who he was talking to, or if that whole thing was like a giant setup, or there's a lot of ways to analyze that, you know. But anyways, yeah, I mean, it's the golden age. So the thing is, like, Trump has become the collective conscious again. In a way, he's like the Joe Rogan podcast of the world now, or just of the country. And it's amazing how communication is, upstream going downstream, getting pushed down. And I just love the fact that Trump's brain, his thoughts are now like pushed down to the collective conscious. And so like all the libtards on this app, all the libtards in the world, in the United States, and there's some of them are so aggressive. I just love how they have to contend with themselves, knowing that they get gaslit every time they hear Trump speak, and a lot of them are addicted to listening to him speak. It is the opposite effect.
No, they do, because it helps them feel alive.
Right,
because
it's their dopamine
like,
spike.
I'm an organism in this world. I'm listening to Trump speak. All I have to do is make my body come up with emotions that are anti-Trump, and it's basically it gives them an excuse to do drugs and smoke weed, because they smoke weed, listen to Trump, just come up with random bullshit that they don't like, post it on Facebook, bada boom. That's a productive day for a blue state.
Yeah, I don't think it's that comfortable for them. The last several days has been very tough for them. As happy as we are about it, they're equally sad.
No, what I'm laughing at is that it is now 1,200 days of the Trump podcast, and all the people that hate the Trump podcast have to live with that. So, but on the flip side of that, if you are pro-Trump and you voted for him, you should now go back to a resting state and no longer let the political combat dominate your thinking, your speaking, your activities. I mean, now that the chief, the commander, is in charge, in many ways you can kind of depoliticize and go back to a more pragmatic, material, just your life, as opposed to, like, for me, this is like the catharsis. I don't have to come on here and try to, uh, meddle in all of this. Now I can go back to going outside and raking my lawn and like doing all the day-to-day things that I've been neglecting because I've been engaged in this political communication combat for like a year now.
Oh gosh, yeah.
That's what I was trying to tell Morel. Like, it finally feels like all that combat was worth it, because I sometimes wonder, why did I spend so many hours on fucking Clubhouse debating with people? Like, why? And then now, after like at least a good week, I feel like, oh man, that was so worth it.
You got on the Trump train when, like a month before the election, or maybe?
No, you don't get it, Morel.
You were telling me I was. I think you told me I sucked Trump's dick and all sort of shit.
No, dude, I wouldn't have ever said it that way. Or if I did,
you were always kind of ho hum and neutral about it. You're one of the typical Indian brothers with a high IQ who just want to maintain above the fray, and the dumb white Trumpers.
No. You
don't want to really be associated. You're kind of like Arvin and the other snobby elites. I know you're not like that in your heart, but I think you have a big piece of that you are. You're an elitist, a little bit like, even though we're from the same background, you respect the people and values, but I don't think you don't have any MAGA hat. You don't have any fucking donation to the MAGA. You're not like out there with any tweet about MAGA. You've never been on a stage banging these fucking assholes for the last 4 years, okay? So There was 2020 and 2022. Remember, this is not a new election.
Dude, if I had 6 or 7 figures or however many, if I had even I'm a student, dude. If I had,
well, you can at least push back against some jerks on here. Now, the fact you didn't is okay because you got to stay with the fray. But I, a lot of people are popping up saying, "Oh gosh, it's we finally won."
If you want me to take down, I'll take down anyone you want. I'll take down Roger Rutgers. I'll take down Arvind. I'll take down Arvind.
The time for all of that was prior to the votes being cast. And I had my
depends on which state you're in.
I've had my teeth in Arvin's ass for a long time.
Some people think, like, I feel really bad for you because you live in a blue state and your state shouldn't be blue.
Dude, what do you know about any of that?
No, I live in a solidly red state.
Yeah.
I didn't like it for the first 30 years of my life.
DC suburbs. We got the entire DC suburbs.
Yeah, can't you redistrict that and make that Maryland?
No, that's not how it works. And it's already swinging purple, as you know, with the governor, and probably going to swing over.
Okay, Glenn Youngkin is a fucking awesome guy. He's good.
So the time to bang politically is during the time when the risk is on. The risk is totally off, like Adrian said. So it's time to just settle down, submit your applications to the government. I think, especially with you.
I want to work for Trump. I think it'll be fun. Don't you think it'll be fun to work for Trump?
Well, I mean, yeah, I've submitted my applications, but I mean, you're not interested at all. You wouldn't even know how to apply.
No, I am going to apply to work. I'm going to work under Marco Rubio, State Department.
You've applied already?
No, I haven't applied already, but I you know me, I love learning languages. Do you think that's not?
It's not a joke. There's open applications.
State Department is not a joke, but it's mostly filled with people who
you're
learn
a joke
languages.
to LARP about joining these things.
I'm not LARPing. I have to have a tentative plan just to be a human being.
Yeah, that's just a LARP. That's called a LARP plan.
No, any tentative plan is. You're basically conflating tentative plans with LARP plans.
Yeah. I mean, you're not really that interested in working for the government, right? So if you were, you would have been following everybody.
No, you
would have
can
seen
get
the calls go out.
There can be some really good government gigs, like embassy, U.S. I want to work for a U.S. embassy in Germany. That's my ideal.
Yeah. I applied as a volunteer to work for Zero.
Yeah, but you have to know some German to survive in Germany. That's the whole thing. But my German is not good enough. A big problem in my life is that my German is okay, but not good. It's not above average. I have like average level German for the amount of work I put in. It's not like worse than the average person from America who tries to learn German, but it's not better. The problem is that it's just not good enough to stand out for job applications. It doesn't mean I'm like dumb or something, but like.
I don't know what it is, and that Sudanese coon part of his brand just comes on. He just started cursing and all this other shit.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
We need to take a moment of silence to appreciate the suit. We need to recognize that.
Because Miss Parker, if you don't work and you don't have no W-2, you can't really
No,
file taxes.
listen, boo, because you got it wrong and they got it right. Okay. Now what they do is they have started because you can't not work correct. So they will do some quarterly sheets. And just to have it
I do that too.
They'll put all them kids on there and that breaks that shit up to about 15, 20K.
Yeah, and they lying too, because you're right though, but just the deductions, like, because you only got a certain amount of kids you can claim before they stop giving you money. I forget the number. That's why them people with all them kids let other people claim them.
Before we break that down, let me say good morning to Trent. Good morning. And Adrian, come up as well.
Do I have to fill out a form?
Let me
Ibrahim, let me read something from the Torah, alright? So, start with this passage. If you
They agree with that shit.
Agree with what? They said that, but they said also the kid has to be with the father for a certain amount of time. All that. I'm not believing none until I go see that it say it's getting done. But they saying one thing, they saying he's doing it, they saying this, they saying. I'm not listening to nobody what nobody's saying. I know how to go watch the movies and look it up too.
But I'm asking, yeah.
Hold on. It says Trump.
these days, like what race or nationality would you say a boat builder would come from?
All over the world?
French. They'd be French.
What you want him to take like 30%, like just take vacation all the time? Yeah, someone said Dutch, someone said Swede. That feels more realistic to me.
They used to be, but like now all the boats are like French made. It's the public
Right.
produced recreational boats. America's maybe number 2 or up there, maybe not 3, something like that. I mean, a lot of American boatyard.
Injecting people with an experimental poison.
I don't think it started like that, respect.
I mean, like, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm talking about as far as the syphilis.
Yeah, because understandably, it's supposed to be help me say it gently, the virus from a sheep contaminated a man, and that man contaminated the bacteria of the sheep.
I mean, I'll say this. I don't know the backstory of.
If you allow me to finish real quick.
Go for it.
Okay. So, a man entered into a sheep, then went into a woman, and we know the shepherd and the sheep has been a thing. Somebody got some videos on YouTube right now today where men from overseas is messing with the goats. We flew drones over there and saw that. So, and then they come back and give it.
Well, what I was referring to was the Tuskegee Airmen experiment. How that poison, that this syphilis disease was injected into people, and now how they're claiming it to be something sexually transmitted. I don't know anything of that experiment having to do with anything dealing with a bestiality aspect as far as that being part of the experiment. That would be the first time that I've heard that particular experiment.
Yeah, I'm on the same page with you because I did hear the same thing about. I mean, I did my own research and the whole Tuskegee experiments with syphilis. They were experimenting on black folk, and how egregious and disgusting as that was, they were playing way too much with that.
The facts here. No one reads that stuff anymore. No one's ever going to read those publications anymore. Yeah, it's a fucking shame. I was telling Arvin he needs to bend the knee and just flip before the election. It's just a crazy quest. I said, well, you're a writer, won't you write one thing supportive of Trump? Oh, I'm working on an article. All right then. A year later, there's no article. And, it's a total fucking fraud, which is fine. Most of us do that to ourselves at times. But, go out there writing or slapping your gums to other people. It's disgusting to regular Americans. This is the elitism. You're not the elites anymore. We are now the elites. We, the regular people. Trump is the elites. The MAGA are the elites. It's a fucked up turn of the tables. And it's not something that just flips back in 2 years, right? It's a total change of the board. It's a new world order, essentially. So I think it's You're getting a replacement of the post-World War II institutions. And it's going to be really rapid. So they want the best people. They're not asking for a goddamn loyalty test. But they are asking if they're anything to do with the neocons. So they're letting people like Elon in, Sriram in, no problem. But Elon, of course, he can't. He came on board fully, but like a lot of these guys like Sriram had nothing to do with Trump. They don't even want to say the word Trump. The word Trump makes Indians sick because of all of the programming.
No, it's because so many of the people they capture at the border are from India these days. Like, there's so many illegal like when we were growing up, we never heard.
The reason the word Trump makes Indians sick is because Indians are caught at the border. Is that what you're telling me?
Dude, in our generation of Indians, we didn't come illegally. I know, like, immigrants here. I know.
The question is, why does the word Trump make regular Indians like you sick?
No, it doesn't make immigrants like me sick. It makes immigrants like Rajaratnam sick.
It makes Indians.
No, it makes the fob.
You're mishearing me.
It makes understood.
I said Indians.
No, it makes
why does the word Trump make Indians sick?
It makes fob sick. It doesn't make us sick. It makes us happy. It makes us relieved. It makes me happy and relieved.
Come on, man. Yeah, I know that you're like.
Dude, Trump 1.0, okay, the first Trump round made me sick. The second one is not. That's what I was trying to say.
Why does Trump make Indians sick? Go ahead. That's my question. Why does the word Trump make Indians sick? Go ahead. Like how it made you sick the first time around.
They just Vinny, what do you think?
Sorry, what's the question?
I'm an Indian and I feel like the word Trump makes Indians sick. Makes Indians feel sick.
It's selective outrage.
They never came and supported him. They never opened their mouth to support him.
Why? But again, why do you think so that the Indians have not supported Trump? And why do you think?
I don't know. I'm wondering why. I think they're sickened by Trump. I think they don't. And I do have a theory. I don't want to.
It's a club morale. If you're going to base that off of clubhouse statistics, then you might be right. But there are so many Trump.
It only went up to 31. It went from 26 to 31.
That's the approval rate?
That's his voting rate. That's the voting rate for the Indians. From last election.
I think you're wrong. Indians love Trump.
Oh, they love him now that he won. Now that he won.
We did love him before, long before.
Now that he won.
We loved him long before. You don't tell us what we, how we feel. We loved him long.
I know what you think.
We did. You know nothing. You know only what you think you know.
Have you ever spoken for Trump on this fucking app?
Of course we did. Of course we did.
I've never heard you.
You piece of shit.
I never
fuck up. You know nothing. You cocksucker. You know nothing. You fucking shit.
I never heard you once. Go ahead, Teja.
But why do you think Yeah, but why do you think
only now, Teja, only now after you won. Let me
my
finish.
question to you is why do you think?
Let me finish and then I'll let you go. Give me 1 second and I'll let you go. Only now after Trump won, all of you guys are coming and jumping down and doing namaskaram and saying, we loved you all along. Oof, that's not how I remember it. I've been watching the community for about 4 years. I saw no support for Trump prior to him winning.
But that's that's as per your memory.
That's the statistics.
My question over here is, why do you think we need your validation? Whether we supported Trump or not.
Oh, I'm talking about Indians
why
in America.
Do you think what does Moral actually think or feel about Indians?
Yeah. That's a separate issue. Why Indians in India? That's a separate issue.
No, I'm talking about from the topic that you're talking about.
Yeah,
I'm not deviating from the topic.
Indians in general, yeah. I think it goes to both sides.
I'm talking about
disgust of Trump.
From the point of view of Donald Trump, why do you think that the Indians need your approval or your validation?
The Indians
or
don't
they
need my
need a
approval.
confirmation from
The
Modi
Indians, I am an Indian.
to tell them, oh,
I
we've
can
spoken
I
about
speak
it.
for Indians. And especially, I don't know if you're here in America. I'm here in America. I speak for Indians in America. So I'm one of them. That's why I can speak about them. What do you mean? Validation. I'm wondering how you're so retarded that you never supported Trump before he won.
So are you talking about Indians who are living in the West, or are you talking about Indians?
Both sides.
Again, my question is, why do you think the Indians need your validation that we have spoken for it or not?
Indians don't need the validation; they need a criticism because it shows how chicken they are. That they are for nationalistic policies.
Criticism will come only if the validation is needed, right?
Hello, go ahead and make your point and then let me respond. What's your question?
See, that's what I'm trying to say is Indians have supported for Donald Trump, be it globally, okay, or be it in India. But my point on a larger scale is, irrespective, and you were telling that Indians have not spoken about it on the clubhouse, right?
Correct. In clubhouse, in person.
So how did you come to that conclusion?
No, it's not just in clubhouse. Hello, it's in general in life. Okay.
In general in life.
Yeah.
Okay. How did you
in clubhouse, on TV, on app, on written?
Since you stay in America, right? Are you talking about American Indians or the NRI Indians who are staying in America? Because I'm sure you cannot talk about the Indians who are staying in India.
Yeah, I'm talking about both.
That's out of your league.
I'm talking about both.
No, but that's out of your league.
No, it's my league too. I'm Indian blood. I can speak about you sitting there in India.
How do you know how do you know that
what I have to say about it. Let me
how is it? That's what I'm telling you.
Let me speak my mind about you Indians in India for one. Please. Let me move you down for a second so you can cool down. I want to speak my mind, and I'm going to let everybody up. No thing also. I'm going to let you up, but I'm going to speak my mind because you guys interrupt. This is the problem with fresh off the boats. You don't let someone else even finish, and you start blabbering. So just listen to what I'm saying.
You should be ready to have a conversation.
This is why we've got an H-1B problem. This is an example of why there's an H-1B problem right now in America. Okay? This is an example of why people are complaining about H-1Bs here. Because no one knows how to fucking act. I can judge you guys the same way you can judge us. Number two, I have a distinct problem with Indians and how they've treated Trump. Let me tell you why. You guys will go and booty clap and jump up and down for Modi and for nationalism and for faith and religion in India, but over here, when Americans do it, you get scared because you're scared of Christians. So I know why you don't like Trump. You're scared of Christians. You don't like it. So from an Indian perspective, it's not surprising. I already know what it is. My main problem is Indians in America. Because Indians from India, like look at Siddharth. Have you seen Siddharth on Twitter? Making an ass of himself over H-1B? Go look at Siddharth's tweets before about Trump. He's a vicious anti-Trumper. But after the guy wins, he's fucking putting a picture of Trump after the shooting, saying fight, fight, fight. We love Trump. So this is typical of Indians. You will shit talk somebody, and the second they become in power, you go and do a namaskaram. I loved you all along, sir. Andrew was doing it earlier. We do it here too. It's in our DNA.
Dude, I don't just do namaskaram, I say Triyambakam
Andrew are the same genetic material. We're going to have the same behaviors in a sense. So Indians in India is not different Indians from Indians here. I'm the same genetics. I'm your brother, right?
Definitely show your biasness, right, towards Indian, but that's perfectly fine. I mean, like I said before, I don't think NRI Indians or global Indians or any of the Indians in India actually need any validation or certificate.
Can you make any other point besides the validation point? Make some other point besides validation.
But again, now whether you
need validation here. If you don't validate, I'll throw down. So we do request validation here with good points, or you will be thrown down and judged by an Indian, by an NRI nonetheless. Am I clear? So make a point, but stop talking about validation. You are under the spotlight. You will be judged. You will be talked about the same way we will be talked about by Indians in India. This is the nature of the global economy.
Let me make a statement first. Have patience first. Now,
I know,
coming to
but
the
Morel,
point.
I think let me just say to Justini, I think in your defense, I never expected that my cousins would, whatever shit talking they could come up with, would ever carry any weight in the real world. Because when I grew up, when I was 5 years old, and when I was 5 years old, it was only 1999, right? And India had no economic prospects in 1999, did not have a good outlook. But because of Narendra Modi, or other leaders in India, obviously, it became a rich country. And now what my cousins, if they think I'm stupid, it actually matters. So I think, Morel, some of it is we have to swallow our ego. I mean, I'm the one who's biased against my own cousins because I look at them as like dirt poor Indians, and it's my fault, right? Don't you think, Morel, it's also our fault?
And to top it off, Andrew, the historical event is so brutal that the whites have feel so superior that they look down upon the blacks and the browns and the Indians, right? Now, my coming back to the second point, which is spoke about Christianity. Why do you think we should like Christianity? I don't think there is anything to do this anything great about Christianity. Christianity has not given anything great to the world. In fact, their history has been as brutal as Islam. It's just that today they are not killing any people. And talk about the Indian things. Yes, we are seeing what Christian missionaries are doing inside India, right? In the name of pastors, in the name of Christian missionaries, how they have eaten up the schools, educational institutions, how they are slowly converting and they're making people crypto Christians, right? Where they can't even say that they're Christian. But anyway, that's not the point over here. I can go on and on and on. But
Yeah, Tejaswani, when you're done, I'd like to reply to what you're saying.
I'm sorry. Let me finish my point. I have had so much of patience listening to this whatever dash dash dash. I don't want to say anything slang word, but Coral, I think coming back to the point. Yeah. Have patience. I have listened to your nonsense before, right? So have patience to listen to me.
Move you to the audience to make you listen.
Yeah, you can move me down if you do not have the thing to listen.
Can you make a point that actually stands, or we're going to move along? It's time to move along.
Because you need to mute yourself. Chris, you need to mute yourself. Okay, do not try to dominate over here. I know what I'm talking. Right. Second part, be it regarding the
you made a good point. You made a good point.
You want to finish your point.
You've made a good point that evangelical Christianity. You made a good point that evangelical Christianity has rubbed
you the wrong way. No, but you're a very impatient person, but you have proved it.
You've made a good point. Andrew, I think she made a good point that evangelical Christianity has made them feel a certain way. That's exactly what I said. I said, that's your problem with Christians. Your problem with Trump is you don't like Christians. And that's your problem, I understand.
No, but certain parts of India are very Christian friendly. It's not all parts of
deal is,
the only part of India that are anti-Christian. The only part of India that is really reliably anti-Christian in my experience is
Uttar Pradesh. It's not even 10%. It's not even 10% Christian.
Unless you're from Uttar Pradesh, I don't think any other Indians actually have any problem with Christians. Only the ones from Uttar Pradesh.
No, dude, every single Hindutva on here has a problem with Christians. I don't know.
No, they say that, but then they go to work and
they won't say anything to a Christian's face, but on Clubhouse,
you think if you sit on the flight, if you sit on a if you sit on a train or a plane next to a guy who is just like
how many times have you heard the word rice bag on here?
How many times have you sat next to how many times have you ever seen Indians scream at somebody next to them sitting on a plane reading the Bible? Indians never do that shit. They just bitch about it on Clubhouse because they think it's the apt event.
That's right. But this goes to the point of why they don't like Trump. They're scared of Christians. I don't know why. It's less than 10% of your population.
Listen, Tejaswani is an angry person. I mean, she is incapable of having a coherent conversation because she's
your typical managerial woman that will just be yelling at you all day.
Well, she's she can't have a conversation. When you have a conversation, you don't talk over each other. You wait till the other person is finished and you politely engage.
My Haitian thing. Sejal, go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning or good evening, wherever you are. I just want to ask a question more. Why are people so worried about what Trump is going to go to India? Is your country? Trump can make any rule that they want to. You want to throw Indians out of America, please do it. Similarly, we have a country, and we'll do whatever we want to do. That's our country. So what is this debate about?
My issue is the lack of support before the election. Then all of a sudden, hurrah, hooray for Trump after he wins. It's very see-through for me. I've been watching carefully both populations before and after the elections. So Indians in America are doing nothing different. They're doing the same move. Now, I'm not coming and trying to interfere into Indian politics, but I'm here to, what do you think? You're the king of fucking Rome? You're a royal class that cannot be spoken about? Oh, Indians in India, you cannot talk about us. This is ridiculous. This would be like me saying, as an American, you are not allowed to talk about Trump. It's crazy talk, right?
No, we are okay to talk about Indians in America.
Like you can talk about us, we can talk about you. You agree? Yes or no?
I can talk about you, but does that make any difference? Doesn't make any difference. Is it going to solve any problem? No. I don't know. Is it going to change Indians? No. Is it going to make Trump any weaker or stronger? No. So what are we discussing?
Why does anyone discuss politics? You think anyone who discusses politics cannot, every conversation around every kitchen table in the world cannot change politics?
Yeah.
It's an ongoing conversation. What I want to bring to the table in the conversation is this sycophantic agreement with Trump when just a moment ago before the election, people said, fuck him, we don't really care about him. And Indians, and he's elevating Indians to high positions all over the place. Several. And then one of them gets demoted, and all of a sudden everyone starts crying foul. Vivek, oh Vivek, oh my Vivek. This is the guy who got on board. He's an invisible guy for the last 12 years. This has been going on, man. This is not a new struggle. For you all, it's new. You just caught on a year ago.
Look at Cash Patel.
12 years ago.
He's about to head up one of the largest federal and most important agencies in the entire country.
We've got the powerful Indians around the administration throughout, some of which were Democrat. Trump doesn't care if he was supported. Sri Ramakrishnan was not a Trump supporter. But bottom line is, there's a lack of honesty, I think.
What I don't understand about what Tejaswini was saying about, her position or opinion about Christians. I read, Rami. I read all these guru books, and they're talking about Jesus as a guru. So there's a spiritual tradition which transcends across all major world religions. I don't understand why you think Christians are any different.
Adrian, the beautiful thing about what you're saying is there are some French academics who have looked into the early Christian church, where basically around the time of Jesus' life, there was a very blurry distinction between Judaism and Christianity, right? Because, some of his followers accepted his message and some of his followers did not. Some of those who did not, they continued on in the rabbinical tradition, and they turned to texts like the Talmud, right, which is, of course, an interpretation of the Torah. Jesus knew the Torah, right, because he was Jewish himself. He was a rabbi. But Jesus, basically some people who look at this early church history, they look at the Dead Sea Scrolls, which only recently been, found in Israel, right? When people look at that early church history, some academics speculate that some of it was influenced by people from India. They actually, I can tell you, there's a whole article I've read about.
It's well established.
It's not well, no, bro. It's not well established.
Yeah, it is.
It's not well established, but King Ashoka sent Buddhist emissaries spreading the Dharma from India, not Hinduism but Buddhism, to all over the world, and he sent some of these emissaries to the Greek-speaking world, right? Because by then Alexander the Great had already conquered a lot of Persia, so it wasn't actually that. Basically, there was a point where after the Greeks conquered Persia, like Greece and India were basically neighbors. It's hard to imagine.
You may not know that it's well established, but it's quite well established. We can have a room on it later, or you can speak to Wednesday.
So people who are educated. So people who are educated
carefully on this. I don't know if you read this too much.
I know, but
cut 3, I don't know.
The point is, if Setanjali or whatever her name was knew that good news, she wouldn't be in here all angry.
Yeah,
usually they're actually angry. Usually they're not angry about Christianity itself. They're angry about colonialism, but they have misplaced anger.
Correct. That's fair.
I understand.
Some of these converters were pretty unethical. They just take the.
But the whole point of the philosophy, though, is to be in the now. So that's why you see people jumping ship and praising Trump now or becoming Trump friendly, because they are reevaluating their shitty opinions and they're back into the now. So it is like people compressing or decompressing, but it's just that's the ultimate philosophy is there's only now, so people have to always rationalize with that and essentially reformulate their shitty opinions and try to, get back in the flow.
Let's face it, politics today is not based on ideology, it's based on convenience. So this happens everywhere, not only in the United States or in Europe or in India. It happens everywhere. I mean, the point is, it's all based on money. It's all based on economics. The same guys who maybe oppose Trump now understand that Donald Trump is the president of the United States of America. Now she is in control. And they are going to survive if they go on, opposing Donald Trump, which happens in India also. I mean, there are people, there are a lot of money flowing in our elections. And there are people who will oppose some people before the elections. When the elections are over, they'll change their stance and, become pro the government because we're going to survive over here. And I think it's true everywhere, not only in America, it's true all over the world.
Yeah, some amount of it is normal. Correct. Agreed.
I can't really hear what you're saying, Sajal, that well.
You say people switch over like this all the time. It's normal in politics around the world that people used to be not for it, go for it after the guy gets put in. That's nothing unnatural. I agree with that. It's just the magnitude of the effect in the Indian community is what I'm talking about.
Well, nobody likes a hypocrite. For example, here in Chicago, there is a Hindu who's in Congress. His name is Raja Krishna Murtha. And another clubhouse netizen, a conservative Trumper, went up against him. His name is Mark Rice. Yeah, he went against him and he lost. And so I was dating this Indian chick who dumped me. And she told me, I was like, she's from Schaumburg. And I'm like, so what do you know about Raja Krishnamurti? She's like, there are billboards for him everywhere. And everybody's brainwashed with his bullshit.
That's funny.
Yeah, this Indian chick I was dating, I really liked her, but she dumped me.
Sajal, the main meta point that I'm trying to make is Trump is the best friend to Modi that he could have. Kamala would have been a piece of shit to him, okay? It's as clear as day who the better candidate is, better choice. But people are still, 30% voted for Trump. It's disappointing. It's a fear of Christianity, fear of guns is what I feel is like a big part to play in this. People don't realize what Vivek said is true. Christian values, Hindu values are the same values. They're very good values. They're completely compatible. It's literally a list of the same thing that people would write down if you wrote down the values.
My viewpoint on this is very simple. I agree with Trump is the best bet for India. I got to do. The problem that happens is most of the people, whether it's Indian or whether it is, any other country, they think Trump is going to give concession at the cost of United States of America, which is not good. Trump is bothered about United States of America, which is his country.
Look at this VTR.
After that, as long as his country does not support, he will support anybody who is going to enhance.
Anton LaVey from Timu. From Timu.
I mean, there is no doubt that USA is the world power, and it has been for so many years. Okay, it's now been challenged by another power called China.
Okay, we hit another hour episode.
But Trump does realize it, that over a period of time, China